Americans tend to gravitate to the practical because of the very way our culture is set up here in this country. I interact with the views of Alexis de Tocqueville in my piece, and he came to this country in the 1830s and was evaluating how democracy itself affects the way Americans think and behave. And what he observed was that there's something different in the way Americans operate, in the way the Americans view their political activity, their religious activity, their religious views, from the way it had taken place in, say, European cultures, aristocratic cultures. And in particular, he was fascinated by the fact that in America, superficiality sort of reigned, and that we're all raised to think about the virtues of democracy, but never warned about some of its vices. And in particular, democracy pushes us to the active life, but not the thoughtful life. And so thoughtfulness is something that we need to sort of swim upstream to arrive at. The answer that I get if I ever recommend something deep, if I recommend Aristotle or de Tocqueville himself, I kind of get the opinion that people aren't interacting with deep thinkers like this because they generally say to me, well, where do you find the time? There's an emphasis on active life. Everybody is sort of vying for each other's positions. We're busy people. There isn't rest itself, meditation and rest and quiet contemplation aren't values as much. So that restlessness, that constant activity is the way our society is set up, and we struggle with that. I mean, if you just go to a typical Christian bookstore, it's very light on theology, but very, very big on the Christian living section. It's about how God can help me do this and that. It's about that which is useful. And truth isn't as valued in that kind of world. Truth is something that's outside of me. It's sort of esoteric. American churches tend not to focus on truth as much as that which will help them in their lives. Christians need to recognize that particular tendency and that particular problem, and they need to struggle with it because God gave us a very, very big, thick book with lots of words, lots to meditate on. And if we're only focused on therapeutic utility or that which helps us, then we're not, at the end of the day, going to learn about God's story and His characters and characteristics and His way of conquering sin. In her book, Distracted, Erosion of Attention in the Coming Dark Age, Maggie Jackson discusses the whole question of what it means to attend. What is attention? And she defines it as reaching out towards the other. And that's something that I think is lacking in American Christianity. We assume that just because the preacher's up there doing his preaching, that it's effective. And I think that needs to be we need to ask the question: are we as listeners reaching out? Are we as Bible readers reaching out to the text? And that requires a little bit of work that we're I don't think used to doing. I mean, as I look at in contemporary churches that I visit, I find a lot of people tuning out. I find that no one talks about the sermon afterwards. Kids in particular are everywhere. They're doodling. They're on their iPads. We have to ask the question, how are we forming ourselves and our children in this book that we've been given? Are we forming ourselves to it? Are we attending to it? Are we making it our own? And those questions are really crucial for this particular time and place.